So here we are at Carter's Yard in Maidenhead. It's an open day today, the 3rd of December 2022, and there's going to be a tour, several tours of the yard by Joby Carter, a few talks, a few demonstrations, and lots of artwork to see. So let's go in, see what we can find. The day started with an exclusive tour for members of Carter's Patreon group that included a tour of the South Yard and featured one of the 3 Royal Windsor living wagons that used to travel with Billy Smart's circus.
I don't know anything about that company, and I actually prefer these ones, but this one's basically knackered, you can see. Definitely don't go inside it because it'll probably fall through a hole. And I'd love to say I'm going to restore it one day. Lord knows when that'll be, because it needs it. And it was shorter originally. It has been messed about. In fact, a window fell out on the way when it was being Windsor. I didn't want to go and get it. But a friend who I leave nameless went and got it for me. Quite interesting. That actually was made from a diff with a bit of plywood over the front of it. He got it from miles away. And it's knackered, but let's hope we can get to that one day. I mean, this is the whole sort of thing where wouldn't it be lovely if someone said, I'll give you funding to restore it, because if I restore it and try and turn Airbnb, I won't live long enough to get my money back. You know, that needs to rebuild that or virtually build a new one. You can be 100, 200 grand easily, but it needs doing because it's a bit of history, and I always dreamt of putting the 3 together. In there you've got 2 dodgem loads there. In the middle bay you've got the skid loads and the skid centres in the tent here.
Returning to the North Yard, Joby walked us through the sheds and talked us through the history of the main vehicles in the yard and the amazing artwork collection that decorates the shed walls.
And I was 20 when I did that in the middle, and standing there inside. This left it over here. We were living in that one, and believe it or not, it was me and my wife in there, my son when he was with us, and then the 2 kids, and Teddy had just been born, and there was 5 of us in there, a dog or 2. So we were looking for a Royal Windsor, and funny enough, the people who owned it, the people that sell us the paint, Craftmaster, they had it in their garden. If you look through my Instagram, you'll see what it is. It was all grey, it was very tight inside, but it was all there. And Ronnie and Kay were still alive. We bought it, put it in Unboxing Day 2012, and took 499 days to finish.
Following the tour, there was a chance for one of the Patreon group to win a sign of their choice painted live by Joby Carter. Jerry Fowler was the lucky winner, and he chose 52 Chevy for the sign.
It's You got two cameras on. Can you all see, or just looking at the back of my head? No. Shuffle around if you need to.
So you don't box to get the scale of the lettering anymore? Box to... No.
So it's the kind of last thing you want to do, because the boxes all letters are different sizes, and it's just scale it to where you want it. You want to get where the diamond is.
And do you always start in the middle and work out?
Yeah, go that way and then come back. Otherwise, if you start here, very fast, you run out of room, you've wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then transfer it across, so that's just fine. And then you're not left with stubborn china glass to get rid of. There'll probably be it later, you can ask him yourself. Fancy a couple of stars? Want some stars?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Stars, nice. I mean, I could do squares, but stars, go for stars.
I think it also said 11 p.m.
Is it 11? Oh no, it didn't, did it? Brilliant.
So maybe there'll be a load of people logging on at 11 p.m. tonight.
They can watch the recording.
I love that blue.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Which one? Yeah, which blue is it?
Like that blue.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got a few more tins left, so I won't sell it.
I think I might like it.
My name's Jerry Fowler. My passion is 1950s hot rods, and I own a 1952 Chevrolet pickup with a small block 5.7 litre V8 engine. I've sign written the truck myself,
Right.
and that's why I'm here today, really, to see how it's done properly, because
Right.
I'm not a sign writer.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, what Joby's just done in 10 minutes would take me about a day and a half.
Right. So how long have you been sign writing?
Well, on and off since I was a kid. I was trained as a draftsman, so I've always dabbled with it, but I've retired from work now, so I'm now dedicated. I've got my own workshop shed, so I'm doing lots of stuff. Saws at the moment, old hand saws I'm sign writing, and I was trying to do some for a friend, and every time I finish it, somebody buys them. So I keep doing them.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not
That's
bad.
not a bad
thing,
thing.
but, it's fascinating. The problem is you can lose hours. You know, you start with this stuff, and it just the whole day's gone.
Yeah.
So it's fabulous. It is a passion. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I just want to get better at it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So have you been on one of the courses yet?
Not yet. We're going to talk to him about it now, because
Yeah.
he's got one in March.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. How long have you had the truck?
A couple of years now.
Right.
A couple of years. There's a small group of us at club. I'm the youngest at 60, and the rest of them have been building street racing and drag racing trucks for years. So
Yeah.
they're really bad influence, because
Yeah.
they're bonkers basically.
That's great. Well, great to meet you. Thanks very much.
No
Thanks.
problem.
Thank you.
you.
After the exclusive session for Patreon members, the yard opened to the public, and Joby gave a talk about the yard, the artwork, and the future of the fair.
On your posters. I don't need any more. So today, well, it's kind of about the fair, but really it's talking you through, you know, what's in the yard. Can someone turn that plane off? Normally when I do my signwriting courses, there's 15 people, and halfway through the first day, come on, I'll show you around the yard. And at the end of the week, after imparting with all my knowledge, ask them their favourite thing, they say go around the yard. Yeah. But there's a bit too many of you to walk you around the yard, so I'm going to talk you through the things at the yard. So I'm going to start off in this shed. I don't like throwing stuff away, which is a real problem. You can ask my wife. And in times when I've had to replace something, I always keep the old one. And that's why there's stuff for sale. If I don't need it, I just don't want to, you know, wait, I don't want to like paint it out and do another one. I'd rather just move it around and then you make a new one, put it on the wall. And some things I haven't replaced, like for instance the dodging boards. When I did the dodging, I didn't use them because if you look at all the paint's faded and crazed, and it's at that point where use it a bit more outside and it'll lose it altogether. And the skid boards, which incidentally, if someone makes me a donation over £1,000 for charity, I will sell you, because I said I would, but I wouldn't sell it for nothing. But we made new ones, and if you came to the fair this year, you would have seen them. Aaron painted them. Aaron's in there doing the brilliant cutting. He's like my right-hand man when it comes to decorating. We're always working with one another, and in that case, he wanted to do it myself, and I let him, and it's a bit of a masterpiece what it's done. But because it was painted on plywood, it started to delaminate and go home, so we saved it. But some of them, these ones, which are for sale, not for charity, those ones, some of them okay, but they were at that point they were going to go. And you can see the rounding boards here off the Dobbies, they were replaced, left outside, went rusty. They're charming, they've got character, quite happy keeping them there. The arcade front boards there, that was from my mum's first arcade. And I did the bit in the middle, and Stan, who taught me to signwrite, he did the letter in either end. And I was 20 when I did that. I picked it on, they did a ladder. But yes, just enjoy it. Down the end there, we've got some shutters from the Hoopla, and I've since sold the shutters and the trellis, which is from the round stone. And I had new ones made. It cost them a small fortune because they were made by a joiner. They're beautiful, the ones they've made. And then I've sold those so people can enjoy them. I probably didn't get my money back for what it cost me to make new ones, but they live on somewhere in someone's home, and it's important to keep it. We've got some other artifacts around here. This is a hoopla I bought, and it's Edwin Hall, and some of them are a bit broken, a bit tight, but no, they're painted on plywood. And I mean, that's a museum piece. That is phenomenal. And you look at the patina on it, and you look at the confidence in the brush strokes. And there again, I bought it just because I was offered it and it was too good not to miss. And I would sell that, but I wouldn't sell it to someone who'd break it up. I want to sell it to someone who would restore it. But I didn't need it, it was just too special. The pay box down there, the hexagonal pay box, that's from a ride I bought with intent to restore, but the plans changed. That's from a 1930s ordnance spooner monorail. Now that didn't mean it necessarily, they didn't all have trains on, it was a platform ride that worked in the same way like an arc, but it didn't have undulating hills, it was just flat. Beautiful ride. If you look back on my Instagram, you'll see I put a picture of it. And that got touched up and painted, but the rest of the ride needs a full restoration and there's bits missing. So that's in storage. And who knows where the fair is going to end up, but my dream is I just restore the ride, someone else operates them. That's what I'd love to do. And it's the same. So going out now, you've got the wagon in front of you. That's been pulled out. That was in here. Aaron's been painting that, and that will be lined out in gold leaf. And the idea is that's going to be an Airbnb. As is the idea. Some of you guys are on Patreon. I've still got Carter Steam Fair Patreon, and I started that in lockdown when there wasn't much income coming in, to restore the big Royal Windsor, which the grey one around the corner, which you're welcome to have a look inside, just not right either end. That was Billy Smart's Royal Windsor. So I still want to restore it, but of course I haven't got the revenue of the fair to be able to justify it. But if I can get that wagon out and prove it as a business, as an Airbnb and a wagon, then I might be able to sink money in that and one day get that finished. And down the other end of the yard, we've got the David Smart's Royal Windsor. And of course, the wagon there that me and my wife live in and kids, that is Ronnie and Kay's Royal Windsor. That's the one we restored. So we bought the others with a hope that one day all three could be in line. Like I say, plans change. Out there you've seen all the stuff I'm selling, and that's pretty much stuff that's been replaced on the fair and made available. And I don't, of course, with all of this, I don't care if I don't sell it, because if one day we do get a permanent attraction, the wall's going to need decorating. and it's kind of ready made, you know. Next door, you've got Martin, who does the fabricating. And if you look at what he's making, it's amazing what he's making. He's making a mudguard for that wagon, because two of them are beyond repair. So he's making brand new ones. And that's impressive. There's not many people can turn their hand to stuff like that. And he's got a fuel tank for the motorbike, and one in there that he's made from scratch using an English wheel. Martin's fantastic, because if you ask him to do something and he hasn't got the tool for the job, he's his happiest, because that means he's got to make the tool for the job. So he's really resourceful, and he never gets phased, because I don't really operate. I mean, I'm dyslexic, self-diagnosed, so there's no doubt about it. So the brain can kind of work in different ways, and it kind of scatters about. So I'll just come up with, sometimes I come up with ideas in my sleep, and I just wake up in the morning and say, we're going to do this. But there isn't like a CAD drawing. There's a bit of cardboard with a pencil drawing of what I want. And my dad was the same before me, and quite a lot of stuff has been built off the back of that. And because all often one-offs, and you kind of, you make it up as you go, and you make it work. And including, like, you know, the swing boat truck next door. Well, we won't cover that so you can see how they pack, because you don't normally get to see that. And that was a case of me saying, right, we want it like this and this, so it packs quickly and without damaging it. And all the trucks are like that. I mean, my dad went on a holiday abroad with Mum, which he hated going abroad. He just didn't want to know. Hated being in a plane. He was a big man. And every night he went down to the bar and he designed the new, what was going to be the new Galloper truck, purely from the measurements in his head. And I think he said he only got one thing wrong. He came home and built it, and then made a new truck. That's in Scotland, I can't show you that. Our Gallopers on a film job up there. And our juveniles, we've got 4 of our juveniles out in garden centres on hire. So Carter Steam Fair, as you know it, is no more in its travelling format. But I'm not, other than selling artefacts, I'm not selling the fair off piecemeal. And I hope I don't have to. I hope somehow we can orchestrate a home for it in a shed, and it's appreciated as a national treasure where people can come and enjoy it for generations. One thing that did kind of was a bit daunting was when we finished the fair and seeing the pictures, mostly from people who've lived on the fair. Because if we do find a permanent home for it, you can come and enjoy it again. But the life we've lived on the fair, and the Carter Steam Fair family, as in those that are family with one another, not related, and the way we live in the community, that, you know, that's gone now, and that's, you know, that's quite a big thing to have on your shoulders. But ultimately, it is trying to force a hand that it does carry on, but in a different way. Hey, who's got any questions? Anyone? No? Go on.
When's the book coming out?
In the summer, if I could be asked. Anyone else?
So when were they painted in racing yard?
1992. Mostly, Mum normally dated things. I can see her name and 6 there, 1992. And if you look closely above the Van Wall car, in the crowd, Mum painted the family watching. And I was telling someone earlier, if you look on our Gallopers, all the monarchs are painted round the top, and on the shields, Mum painted them all. And the portraits were very naive back, you know, with the first kings and queens. Mum did have very good reference for Henry I, and my dad went out one day, so she painted him, put a crown on him. There's lots of lovely things like that, you know, around the fair. But at the end of the day, we've been doing it for a very long time. Any more questions? Go.
I just wonder, the domes above you, are they off the original off the
Interesting
Galloper?
story about these. When we bought our Galloper, it was predominantly, it was wood at the top, the domes. And they wouldn't have been on our Galloper that was new. They would have come off another set in the 1930s that got scrapped, and they put those on. And they were pretty much like this one. We had them on there, and occasionally people would walk up and hand a bit of cardwork in and say, "Just fill off your ride." Decided to stop using them, and Dad took 4 and made one good one, and then, I hate to say, took a fiberglass moulding. So the ones you see are a replica of those ones. They're a lot lighter. But yeah, so that's the one that was made to the mould, and we've still got the mould. No one else has pulled the mould out of that, and that was what they actually looked like when we first started travelling. Right, well, thank you very much. I've worn my voice out all the week. Ask me any questions you like, as long as your mouth's not full, and enjoy the shop on the way out. Thank you.
One of the highlights for many people was to go into one of the living wagons. I think many people, although they've had an interest in fairgrounds in the past, they haven't had the opportunity to see wagons from anything but the outside. This is the wagon that Joby and Georgina and family used to live in prior to the completion of the restoration of the Royal Windsor. It's hoped that in the future this is going to be offered as an Airbnb. And I can imagine it proving really popular because it's like most of these living wagons, it's an absolutely fabulous space inside. The ex-Billy Smart Royal Windsor was open to the public, showing the true scale of the restoration needed for these wagons. It's all too easy to visit something like a steam rally or a museum and see these immaculate vehicles and not really understand how much effort, skill, determination and persistence goes in to restoring and maintaining them. And in particular, when you look at something like Carter's Steam Fair, which was far removed from a museum, these were working vehicles, still doing the jobs for which they were originally designed, and immaculate. But visiting the yard and actually seeing the restoration process in action in front of your own eyes and seeing the attention to detail, the skills and the talent that goes in to maintaining these vehicles and restoring these vehicles is extraordinary. But it also calls into question how we value this heritage. In his talk, Joby Carter alluded to the fact that these living wagons were not stately homes. They're not recognised by organisations like English Heritage, and yet they're no less important. It calls into question how we support this heritage. How do we maintain this heritage? Things like old trucks or classic tractors or vintage fairground rides are so often seen as a minority interest, a fringe interest, but actually they're important. They're really important parts of our culture and our history, and they do need to be supported. Let's hope that this collection does stay together. Let's hope that it has a future, and let's hope that it can be enjoyed by future generations, because it is important. So I hope you enjoyed that video overview of Carter's Open Day, December 2022. Plenty of background noise you can hear from the White Waltham airfield, which is next door, and also from the Heathrow flight path. Plenty of aerial activity above the yard today. We're off back to the van and hopefully calling in to another attraction on the way home, and there'll be more videos of that coming up soon. So keep subscribing, keep liking, keep watching. Thank you very much for your support. I'm really, really grateful for it. And we'll see you in the next one. Maybe I should just take a helicopter quicker than the van. See you soon.